the mantle of it and use that then as for the next ones, okay? Okay, we're gonna look at the characteristics of pearls. Okay, they come in various shapes. They come in the round, which is common, as we know. Thank you, Mikimoto, and your patent. And by the way, there was something called the diamond policy that only allowed the Japanese to have the secret to the cultured pearl up until the 1990s. And then there was a recession and they flopped. So then anybody could really start culturing them. So we have the round pearl, we have a symmetrical pearl, which is can either be a pear drop, a drop, a teardrop, and then we've got the Baroque, and that means that there is no exact line on the axis that can be taken. And this one was probably 50 millimeters, and that one probably would have taken almost 120 years to make. And these were all at the Metropolitan Museum of Art, where I stuck my nose up to the window and put my camera there and took that picture for you. So I want you to be impressed by that. And I stayed there for a long time.
Give us a perspective, how far across is it from point to point on that? So 3 inches.
Yeah, easily. And it was about that dense. I mean, the depth. I mean, it was huge. I mean, I wanted to go for it and stick my nose into it and just look at it really with my loupe just to get an eye on it. But that's how big that was. And the workmanship is spectacular. The other shapes that you can have are the button shapes. You can have the Buddha shapes, you can have squares, you can have basically any type of mother of pearl you put in. Nucleus is what the pearl's going to turn out now. But traditionally, freshwater was always just the mantle where it was Baroque, and now they've kind of brought it up to par with Mikimoto. The next one is going to be the size of the pearl. This is really important because size indicates everything. The bigger the size, the more expensive it's going to be, providing it has all the other characteristics. So you have the large and you have the small. For little girls, we like around 5 millimeter pearls. That's where I come into selling. I love to sell little girls' pearls because I think they should start off young, like when they come out of the mother at birth. I think there should be pearls waiting for that little girl at the very end. Then there's about 7 millimeters, which is nice for 16-year-olds, 17-year-olds, 9 millimeters usually for the adult woman. And it really depends on the woman herself. But size is a big factor when it comes to pearls. Color. Ah, yeah. Okay. Whoops, how did you get there? There we go. Okay, we're back to color. Color is interesting because it's really kind of a subjective liking to it. But if you're looking at Mikimoto and you're looking at the royal family, it was always white. The white pearl, the round white pearl, the round white pearl with no blemishes. So here we have, this was taken by me at the Natural History Museum down in Washington, D.C. Again, I went into there 3 times because my pictures didn't come out very well. Parked my car in front of the museum, right in the spot that said handicap, ran up there to the gem collection, and went into that room, stuck my nose to the window, and took my pictures 3 times and had to do it again and again because they kept coming out blurred. Now we can see this. These are, hello, white pearls, white pearl, gold, kind of more of a champagne gold, white, pink. But the overtones, as you notice, are what's on top. If you notice this white pearl here, that's a pink overtone. It comes with a pearl because of the nacre. When you have light hitting it, it's going to reflect inward and it's going to bounce backwards, just like you would have if you had a diamond. So think of this as your precious gem. It has light reflecting back at you, so the luster is great. You can see your face in it, and at the same time, it is going to be bouncing colors all over the place. This one has a silver overtone, and when you get down to it, if you look here, it has a pink overtone, but the orient is almost like a blue. It's almost like a blue. We have a green overtone. We have a darker kind of like a brown overtone. But now when we're going to look at luster, which is going to be the next picture, but I want to show it here. The darker the contrast between overtone and the pearl, so we have this. This pearl, probably natural because it was at the Natural History Museum, has a phenomenal luster. Why? Because the contrast between the overtone on top and the bottom is deep and separate. It's darker and light, darker. The darker the contrast, the deeper the contrast, is better the luster. And you see that in these pearls when you go up to that window and you stare at them with your eyes and think, that's it, and nobody is going to move you from that spot. That's what makes that so cool. And Orient is the dispersion of that light that kind of gets in and pushes back out. It's like so much fun. It's like on fire. Okay, now we get into blemishes. Blemishes can be circles, which we have here. It can be little dents or little blobs here, or it can be a knob, which is here. And the knob is actually a pearl that tried to attach, actually is another pearl that tried to attach itself to a pearl. And that would have been a separate pearl, except that it kind of got meshed in and was picked up by the nacre and made into a pearl by itself, a single pearl. Again, you can see the luster, the overtone. It's all real obvious because these are really nice pearls when you look at them. They're Baroque, but they're really nice. A really good color. Luster, as I have said, oh, I love this picture. These are silver pearls that had just been broken open at Atlas Pearl Farm. And that's what they looked like when they opened it up, and boom, there they were sitting. These are silver pearls. Again, you can see the contrast in the luster. Not only that, but the luster should also be a reflection of light. Therefore, when you look at the luster and you've got that pearl in your hand, it's like looking in the mirror. I can probably floss my teeth looking at a really good pearl with a high luster. And over here shows you the person who's actually taking the picture of the pearl. That's how high that luster is that it just reflects so much light that it's a mirror.
Terry, how do they get those open and shut so that they can do a second harvest?
Oh, the oysters are quite large, and what they'll do is they'll just kind of egg it open with a little stick or something like that. And they just open it up ever so slightly. The people have been trained for many, many years, and they'll do a little cut and insert the pearl in. Yeah. And then when they're ready to open, it's actually the whole thing is opened up, unless they think that it's going to go for a second harvest, in which case they'll open it up slightly and then kind of bring it out. But these are really great pearls. Yeah.
Do I understand it correctly that usually the second and the third harvest do not have the quality of the nacre as the first?
Right. Yeah. And I think I had mentioned that because the older the oyster becomes, then the quality begins to lessen. So the first harvest will probably always have the most luster and the color. And then after that, it will be secondary. It doesn't mean that it takes away from the pearl. It's just that that's what it is.
If they did it longer, would it have maybe a similar quality to the first?
Probably, yeah, if they left it in longer. Because just the build-up of the nacre over time is adding to that luster. It's adding to that brick layer that's going to be able to reflect back. Now the treatments that they use, which are kind of cutting back on, is some of them will dye, which is that pink one over there that looks like it's been painted with nail polish. They'll use radiation. Usually you see that in the black pearls that we get sometimes. The other ones are polishing, faceting, bleaching. And the faceting, which I think is something that you need to be aware of, because I've got some really cheap ones, but I didn't bring them today, was that the faceting of a pearl usually is a fairly good pearl with a deep nacre.